Have you ever been winning on FM and somehow bottled it in the last few minutes? I certainly haven't, which is why we're doing this video. Welcome to the top game management tips for FM20. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's get on with the video. Now, before we start the video, there is an FM21 giveaway. All you have to do, guys, is subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, and in the description below there's a tweet. Just give that tweet a retweet, follow me on LonghurstLive, and you have a chance of winning FM21 by launch. Now, obviously that intro was a massive joke. As you guys know, we are kind of familiar with bottling on this channel. If you guys watch over on Twitch, you know all about that, link in the description below. But let's get on with the video here. We're going to sort of test it out or show you what I do, or try to do, with a friendly with West Ham in a pre-season match. Let me just double check that we're actually in charge of this friendly before we go into it. We are in charge of the friendly. Let's have a look. We'll go into the straight team. We'll just get the team management out of the way. We don't care about that. We're more involved or more interested in the actual in-game. Oh, let me just get my assistant to do it. 1 second. Quick pick the team. Let's get into the game. It doesn't really matter about what happens in this game. It's more about what we're going to talk about in the game in terms of shouts, other things like that. And we'll go through different scenarios if you can during this game. So we've got a free. This is an interesting formation, I've got to say. It's a brilliant one. I mean, it's a pre-season match. It doesn't really matter too much. It's more about just sort of game management. So we'll skip all this, like I say, and we'll get into the games. We're going to use key highlights for this. My first thing I tend to do in game management is always demand more from kickoff. You can do shouts on the top right here. You can do them every 10 minutes of the game time. So you've got a few shouts here. Encourage, calm down, get creative, concentrate, show some passion, no pressure, tighten up, push forward, demand more, and praise. Now, there are only 3 that I tend to really use. Those 3 are get creative, demand more, and praise. Now, praise is the least used one. Demand more is probably my most used one, and get creative is probably my sort of middle used one. So I'll always demand more for the first sort of 20-30 minutes if we're pushing for a win, or just in general, just demand more, probably for most of the first half. If we're playing a lesser team, sort of like a Burnley or something like that, and we're not scoring, I'll then use get creative for the next few rotations to 10 minutes, just so we can kind of get the team flowing and try and push up higher the pitch. That's what it tends to do. I'm not sure if it exactly does that, but in my head, that is what it does, and what I've heard it does do that. But demand more and get creative tend to make a positive impact. We'll show you what I mean by that when this tactic does end. So as you see here, with this little star just by my mouse here, it means something is waiting to happen. And if this is grayed out, it tends to mean that your shout is waiting to be said. So let's wait for the shout to be said, and we'll see if it does get a positive impact. Now, it is a pre-season match, and it's technically my first in charge, so it may not make a difference. I don't think it has made a difference yet, but we'll see if the next one does. If you demand more here, the scene changes. But anyway, that was a terrible example. But what it tends to do is the shouts tend to change your player's body language. And in game, your body language obviously affects how you're doing. If a player's confident, they'll take more risks. If they're not feeling good about themselves, they'll pass it short and not play as well. So you want to really boost your player's confidence, hence demand more and get creative. I think it does depend on your manager traits, your manager skills. Before you pick your manager, you get to put sliders on what you're best at. If your sort of communication skills aren't great, I don't think your shouts work as well. But if they're high, then they work very well. I think in pre-season matches as well, they don't tend to do as much. Obviously, it's not a competitive match. Your players aren't too focused or care as much. But are we going to score here? Oh, he hasn't. He hasn't scored, but the game manager is working, boys. But anyway, in terms of shouts, there we go. As you see here, focused after the feedback, which is what you want. You want that to be green. Sometimes they all go green. Other times, certain players won't react well to certain things. But generally, demand more and get creative do tend to allow your team to get them green bonuses. Now, if you're spamming get creative and you're 3-0 up, the players will probably be confused or anxious about your decision because obviously it's not the right thing to do. In sort of 2 or 3-0 up situations, you want to praise them, you want to make them feel good. That tends to work. Obviously, for losing, don't praise your team unless you're sarcastic. That doesn't work. That goes awfully, and I'll never do it. But try not to do that. In terms of shouts, that is pretty much the basis covered in terms of shouts. Now, the game management that I'm talking about now is going to be tactics and sort of formation during the game. So say you're playing a Man City. Let's go for a normal formation here, just so I can talk about it a lot easier than what we've got here. Let's go for a 4-2-3-1. A lot of you guys tend to play 4-2-3-1 here. Ignore the players and the roles. It doesn't matter too much for me. I'm just talking about the actual tactic itself. Say you're playing a Man City here, and you're winning 2-1 with 10 minutes to go. There's no harm in putting your AM down to a ball winner. There's no harm in doing that. Sometimes that always works. You are inviting a little bit of pressure or sort of lacking creativity, but you're 2-1 up with 10 minutes to go. You may as well hold on for that win. And to be honest with you, in my eyes, if you make a change and you end up drawing versus Man City in your first season, a draw is still a positive result. It's better than losing. You can stay there as an AP. They could come all attacking and they could win 3-2. It's not beyond possibilities. So I'd always sort of shut up shop and try and get that win. Maybe even change if your fullback's on attack. Maybe change them to fullback support, just a bit deeper and not too much freedom in the pitch when you're trying to win and holding off against a good side. Stuff like that really does help. It's small changes in game management that make a big difference. That's my number one tip, I'd say. Small changes make all the difference. You might think, oh well, Cresswell's on fullback attack. He's still a fullback, won't make a difference. If he's out of position once against Man City, Riyad Mahrez is in behind these scores. It's simple. Go fullback support, and the chances are reduced by a massive, massive amount. Other stuff I'd say, if you're chasing a win and you have a holding midfielder, where's the harm in subbing them off for an AP? There's no harm in doing that. Or even going for a striker. If you're trying to win sort of an FA Cup semi-final, go 2 up front with 2 attacking midfielders. Why not? You are trying to push for a win. The one thing I'd say as well is don't get too greedy. Say, statistically in the game, you've got even shots and you haven't been the best team, they've had better possession than you, but it is a team like Newcastle. There's no harm in keeping for a draw. You don't have to win every single Football Manager game. Obviously you want to win it, but you don't have to win it. There's no harm in getting a draw when your team's not playing well. I wouldn't, if you're drawing 2-2 versus Newcastle here, and they're on the front foot, but you go, right, we should be beating Newcastle. There is no point in you going like that. There is no point because you're probably going to lose the game for the better side. You just got to accept a draw. Sometimes a draw is better than a loss. Obviously, in cup matches, go for the win always if you need to win it and if you want to win the cup. But in terms of league matches, I don't get why you see some people do this when you're drawing against a team that's better than you. It makes no sense. You are going to lose the game. In terms of simple stuff like that, that is my tip in there. In terms of mentality-wise, I tend to always go positive or attacking. I don't really tend to ever go cautious or defensive. I feel like they invite pressure too much. I think pressure is not good for your team. If you invite too much pressure with FM this year, long shots will kill you, goalkeeping mistakes will kill you. I tend to stick for balanced and below, so positive attacking. Never really go very attacking unless you're pushing a late win in like a Champions League away goal you need. Something like that I'd use that scenario for, but mostly stay positive or attacking. If you're attacking, winning 2-1, go positive. And if you're positive and winning 2-1, either stay positive, go balanced, or maybe just change things like be more disciplined rather than running, or dribble less, just to keep your players in position more. Don't necessarily change your whole mentality, but change small tactics once again, small differences, small changes make the big differences in this game. And that is probably, once again, the main tip I give you. Small changes. God, that sentence was a mouthful. Small changes make so much difference in the game, you would not believe it. Stuff like changing your DLP support to DLP defend. It utilises the players tackling a lot more than what it would do. Stuff like that you don't really notice or think about, but it can really make a difference to hold on to a win or to a draw versus a big side and really get you forwards. In terms of attacking, we're talking about like defensively here. In terms of attacking changes, say you've got a 4-4-1-1. No harm in pushing them wingers up if you're pushing for a win. No harm at all in having them wingers there. If you want to keep them getting back, put in winger support. The wingers will track back. If you want to push for a win completely, go for winger attack or inside forward attack, and they will stay out the pitch and they will try and push you for that win. However, the thing I would say there is, say you've got a 4-4-1-1 and your midfield's a box-to-box and a DLP support. If you're pushing up your wingers, is it wise to have the 2 people back here as a box-to-box and DLP support? Absolutely not, because your box-to-box will be up here at some stage, your DLP will be caught up sometimes, and you have 6 men up front. There's no point in doing that. If you're going for wingers there, if you're going a bit more attacking up top, remember to balance your midfield out. Maybe go DLP support. Maybe even go for a ball winner and allow your box-to-box to be up there if you're always having your centre mid back. Stuff like that. You've got to use your brain. You've got to think, right, my attack is overly stacked here. Let's make sure my midfield's not overrun. Let my fullbacks do the work out wide to make my midfielders stay in the middle and try and win the game by going out wide here. You don't want to make changes too early. I tend to make changes 55 earliest, probably 60th, 65th minute is the ideal time to make a change. Half an hour left gives your players enough time to settle into the game, use their fitness and their pace, and try and get the win. I wouldn't use subs too late unless you're chucking on a striker last minute. Last 10 minutes, stick on a striker, why not? But there's no point in being 2-1 down and going, right, it's 60th minute, let me do this. Because you've still got half an hour left if you're getting battered in midfield, let's be honest here. So I would always be patient. Game time lasts a long time. The clock might be ticking loads in what you're seeing, but behind the scenes, every action is being played out. There is still patience for a goal. Even 87th minute, make a change then. You might think, right, that could go out in 10 seconds. But behind the scenes, there's still 5 minutes of that game with added time of your tactical changes to make an effect. So I wouldn't rush it too much. I wouldn't make too many massive changes early on in the game. I'd play it a bit slow, be patient. If you do get a draw, you get a draw. Just try not to lose if you're playing big teams. If you're playing a big team and you're winning, slow it down, try and keep the ball, retain possession, and that should hopefully win the game. I think that's pretty much everything we've discussed here in terms of game management. I think the basics have been covered, guys. If you want to see more of it, leave a comment below, guys. Don't forget to give away. All the details are in the description below, guys. Please subscribe if you enjoyed the video and want to see some more FM20 and FM21 content coming out soon next month. And I'll catch you all later. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all next time.